I love sharing about how we cultivate brain health because I feel like it relates to everybody. It doesn't matter if you're 12 years old or if you are an older adult. There's always something that you can do to help improve how your brain is aging. And it's never too late to do good things. Uh, what we know about Alzheimer's is that it is currently not curable, but it is preventable. So this is information that relates to that. How do you keep your brain healthy? How do you keep it on the right track? The first thing, we're going to talk about all evidence-based information. The first thing is resilience, and this is a personality or someone who you can learn how to become resilient. But someone who is resilient learns how to bounce back through adversity or after adversity, and they build up skills that help them to do that. And so they're never beaten down for long, if ever. They know how to get back up and keep on going. Gratitude is another virtue to have. And there was this really interesting gratitude study where they had three groups. The first group journaled what they were grateful for. The second group journaled things that annoyed or bothered them. And then the third group journaled just what happened to them on a daily basis. And what was so interesting to me was that the ones who journaled what they were grateful for had greater levels of well-being and optimism. But they also had all of these other things. They exercised more, they slept better, they woke up more refreshed. They were more likely to help someone with a problem. They had lower blood pressure, less inflammation, better immune function, and lower levels of cortisol, which is a stress hormone, a stress hormone. So it's clearly being grateful is working on the body, and that helps us to help keep our brain healthy. Related to this is a study by Carl Pillemer of Cornell, and he described happy if only versus happy in spite of. And when he studied folks of different ages, he found that younger people were more likely to be happy if only. I'll be happy if only I get that job. I'll be happy if only I get this new car. Whereas older people who have been through a lot of stuff and kind of understand, if you've lived a long enough life, you understand that stuff happens. And so older people were more likely to say, I'll be happy in spite of the fact that my knees hurt, or I'll be happy in spite of the fact that I'm sick right now, because they've just learned that through their lives. But that helps to keep that gratitude flowing in your life and through your body. The next is stress reduction. And I love this because it reminds me of so many older people that I know, mostly older people, young folks too, though. I've been through some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened. Because so many people spend so much time worrying about things that never, ever happen. And I think this next picture of the Dalai Lama, if you can really live what this next one is saying, you have mastered stress. So he says, if you have fear of some pain or suffering, you should examine whether there's anything you can do about it. If you can do something about it, there's no need to worry about it. Just go do that thing, whatever it is. If you cannot do anything, then there's also no need to worry about it because there's nothing you can do. So obviously what he's saying is there's never a need to worry. Can you have concern? Can you plan? Can you organize? Can you get ready? Yeah, sure, you can do that, but you don't have to have fear and worry as a part of it. The next thing is finding purpose and joy. And really what I'm trying to do is just introduce each of these topics to you so you have an idea of what you might incorporate into either your own life or into a program if you're working with some folks like older adults, or you work in a group home. How can you be bringing in some of these ideas? So I'm just introducing you to some of these. Finding purpose and joy is the next one. And so it's really important to have purpose, especially in your life as for in order to create brain health. So if you have purpose without joy, it will stop feeling purposeful. If you have joy without purpose, it will often stop feeling joyful over time. So some research into purpose and Alzheimer's disease, they looked at a lot of people and looked at their sense of purpose. And purpose for you is not going to be purpose for someone else. And purpose changes throughout our lives. So when we're younger, it often has to be something really big. I have to cure this, or I have to solve that. When you're older, it can be, I want to play. My purpose is in getting up each day and playing mahjong with the ladies. My sense of purpose comes from having my grandchildren around me. My purpose comes from writing. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it gives you a sense of purpose. So we can help people find that purpose in their lives. And this study showed that when they examined the brains of these folks after they passed, they found that a lot of them had the markers for Alzheimer's disease. But if you had a sense of purpose, it didn't show up in your life. You didn't express or show Alzheimer's disease in your life. That sense of purpose was protective. Really fascinating. Being social helps your brain. Having relationships decreases the risk of dementia. It improves your physical health and your immune system. It increases capillary formation and new neuronal growth in the brain. It decreases depression and decreases stress. And then there is so much research on hearing aids that says, or having your hearing at a good level. And if you don't, it leads to cognitive decline and to loss of relationships. And if you think about it, if you can't hear and you're sitting in a group of people, you're not processing anything. You're thinking your own thoughts maybe, but you're not able to really listen to what is said and then process that and come back with an answer or your own comment. So it's really, really important to get hearing aids when you need them. The next thing is learning. And learning helps to build cognitive reserve. And the bigger cognitive reserve you have, then the better you are to stave off cognitive decline. And how do you develop a cognitive reserve? Well, you can start early, and you can go as far as you can in your education, or you can have later in life, you can have a job that really challenges you. You can take up filmmaking. You can do whatever interests you. And it has to be something that is really new learning. So that is really going to challenge the brain. So if you do the same thing every day, that's not necessarily going to challenge your brain. So let's say if you're a knitter, then just sitting there and knitting, you know how some knitters are so good at it that they can just knit mindlessly. That it's just an automatic thing that they're doing. That's great, but it's not necessarily building cognitive reserve. Getting a new pattern and having to figure that out and set up the stitches and all of that, or even if you then that's new learning. Or even if, if you're running a group with some folks, you might have somebody teach something new that, and with the express purpose of, I'm not expecting you to continue this, but we're going to learn how to knit. This person here who knits really well is going to teach us how to knit during this hour. And then tomorrow, this person is going to teach us how to read blueprints. I'll just make it up here. But whatever it is, it's the new thing. Whether you keep that going, they don't have to become a knitter. It would be about the fun of learning that new task that's going to build that cognitive reserve. And then that cognitive reserve becomes protective. Then there's exercise, and exercise is so great. Anything that, we all know that exercise helps the heart. Anything that helps the heart is going to help the brain, because it's the brain has lots of vascularization, and if we can keep that healthy, then that's awesome for the brain. So exercise, it has to be somewhat aerobic. It can't just be simply stretching. There has to be some of an aerobic component involved. The research on exercise and memory is really fascinating to me. So exercise really helps with the part of the brain that is very involved in memory, and that's at the hippocampus. And it can actually reverse shrinkage of the hippocampus. To me, again, this stuff, I get excited about this stuff anyway, but to me that's just shocking. And that's so exciting that we can start at any time in our lives and see these positive results and have a positive impact on our brain. The last thing that I'm going to talk about here is eat well. We know that we can reverse heart disease and diabetes through diet. That's game changing. Eating to ward off Alzheimer's, again, it's thought to be incurable, but it's preventable through dietary and lifestyle changes. Now, there might come a time where we say it's curable as well. But for right now, we have to make dietary changes, some of we'll talk about, and then lifestyle changes, some of the things that I've already mentioned. And there are guidelines for the prevention of Alzheimer's disease in the Journal of Neurobiology of Aging in 2014, and they recommend vegetables, legumes, fruits, whole grains that should replace meats and dairy products as the primary staples. So pretty much a vegetarian diet. This is a great resource for that, for a vegetarian diet, How Not to Die. And what Dr. Michael Greger goes through is the top, I believe it's 15 ways that we tend to die. What are the top ways, things that kill us? And he goes through what the research, again, sticking really with research, says that will prevent those things from happening. So stroke is in there, and heart disease is in there. And so how do you eat to prevent those things? And both of those are going to be helpful for brain health. So just a good resource for you to go and check in. And I hope that you have fun with this and create some great groups and different things for people to do and change the way that you operate in your own life, however old you are or young you are, to make positive changes in your life long term. Thank you so much.